Catch of the year, Scott Gray, WTIC News Talk 1080. Good to see you. Now, a lot of things happen. You know, we tape Wednesday, but now we're online Thursday morning, so we want to talk a little bit about the whole UConn situation.
Okay.
Just beat Georgetown. The men. Start with the men first.
Yep.
Big game with Georgetown. They win that. So now they're playing today for our online audience. Thursday, who are tuning in, they're playing Pitt. I think they're playing today, Thursday, right?
Right.
Talk about the Big East tournament, UConn's chances, and we'll segue to the March Madness.
Well, Pitt is obviously the team in the Big East, and if UConn pulled that off, it'd be a huge upset. I think right now what UConn did with winning its first two games of the Big East tournament, I think they put themselves into a top 5 seed for the NCAA tournament.
Just winning that first game was a big deal, right?
Well,
They've been one and done for the last 3 years, right?
I think winning the first one actually solidified the NCAA berth. I really think that they were questionable.
Really?
Because if they had lost that, if you leave it up to the NCAA committee, they go behind those closed doors in Indianapolis and they look at, are we going to take 11 Big East teams? I really don't think so. Okay. And if you're going to take 10, then you start assessing that 10th team, which would probably be UConn, on its own merit.
Who's sliding, who's rising, right?
If they had lost 5 of their last 6 games and 6 of their last 9 games, 4 of those 6 losses to unranked teams, that's not a real good body of work for the, you know. So I think that first win, the one over DePaul, really was a must-win for them, and now they just start adding to their seeding.
Big picture now. You weren't here when the sanctions broke. Wanted to have you on with the Coach Calhoun. Your thoughts on the sanctions? He'll be suspended for 3 games next year. The severity, was it slap on the wrist or was it too much? What do you think of that?
Oh, I think it was very severe for a couple of reasons. Number one, the first 3 Big East games. The coach obviously schedules his own out-of-conference games. If they said you're out for the first 3 games of next year, well, he goes out and schedules New Hampshire, Fairfield, and Central Connecticut. And,
hey, watch that.
Well, okay, okay. But you know where I'm going with that. The Big East schedules the Big East games.
Right.
He has no idea who those first 3 games will be against. And the Big East likes to put some marquee games up front. After the first of the year, you know, they get a little bit of the spotlight to themselves, and they like to have big games. So Jim could end up sitting out some big games. And the fact that it was a scholarship and a suspension to Jim, it pretty much indicates they weren't buying the Jim really didn't know about it, and they laid the whole thing right at Jim Calhoun's doorstep.
But having said that, it could have been a whole lot worse, right?
It could have been worse.
Everything you said, they laid the blame at him. And
about the only thing that could have been worse, though, Stan, would be if they were banned from NCAA tournament action for a year. I mean, there is a 3-game suspension, there is the loss of a scholarship for 3 years, and probation for 3 years. That's pretty serious. And again, it lays it all at Jim's doorstep.
See, I thought it was a measure. I thought he got off easy, considering what they found. That he's lucky that he had that kind of penalty because, you know, the 3 games, okay, it's 3 games, but they're playing 25 games. As you said, they start off this year now. They were a top 10 team after 10 games, and now they're sliding. So 3 games hurts, but you know what? It could have been, you could have lost scholarship, more scholarships and lost your postseason play, and that's where the money's made.
But again, it's the way the 3 games were set up. It's the first 3 Big East games. They're saying to Jim, you don't get to pick the games.
Right.
If it was the first 3 games of the year, he would get to pick the games. Now he's got to sit back and see, do I have to sit out the Pitt game? Do I have to sit out Notre Dame? Do I have to sit out Georgetown? Am I going to have to sit out, you know?
Right. I still think at the end of the day, he's taking a run. Now, go to football. Go to the women in a second. Football now, the Fiesta Bowl.
Right.
They lose $1.6 million. Here's this big Fiesta Bowl, good for the school, good for the publicity. They lose $1.6 million in the state.
How much did they lose?
1.6.
How much did they actually lose?
Well, that's what they're reporting. You tell me. You mean as far as
I don't think they lost anything.
Okay, well, tell me why.
They've been in the Big East for 7 full seasons now. Every year, they have been cashing a check from the BCS. It's part of the deal. And every year, they're making money. Since they got into the Big East, it's like they open one big ledger book. And every ledger book has its credit side and its debit side. Every year they've been cashing checks. This year they wrote the check. I think when you look at the whole thing as one ledger, I think they've made money being in the Big East and being in the BCS. This year, it was costly because they're playing in the Fiesta Bowl, which also happened to be the national championship site. Now, for a bowl game to be played in the national championship site, they've got to guarantee more ticket sales for their bowl game just for the,
We're getting folks to come from Connecticut to Arizona with a big reach, right?
That's tough. Like if it's the Orange Bowl, it's a $200 ticket to fly down there, and to college kids, it's South Beach.
Right.
They fill it up, they sell all the tickets.
Easier sell.
Right. Arizona, it's an $800 ticket, and to college kids, Arizona is one big retirement community. They don't want to go there.
So you're saying in a different venue, different locale,
right,
different situation.
Right.
All right.
But they just happened to also hit the one where the national championship game was being played, so their obligation was going to be bigger anyway. So I say what they paid to go to the BCS Bowl, let's forget the prestige, let's forget what it's going to do for enrollment for the school, for the national profile of the school. Let's forget all of that, the fundraising, everything that comes back in those intangibles, and let's just put it in the ledger book. And I say they've made money by being in the Big East.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Real quick now, the women, UConn win basketball.
Best team in the country.
All right, you think they're going to...
Amazing.
How are they positioned now? Another Big East championship. You still have Baylor out there. Stanford's still out there. So what happens to them?
Playing with 6 players, okay? They just played 3 games in 3 days.
Right.
It's not going to get any I mean, in terms of competition, okay, Tennessee is out there, Stanford's out there, Baylor's out there. There's going to be a step up in competition somewhere down the line, but it's never going to get any tougher for a team that's playing 6 players than playing 3 games in 3 days. Now the rest of the way, they'll play a game, get a day off, play a game, and as long as they keep advancing, they win the second game, then they get 5 days off. And they're going to have almost 2 weeks off now between playing 3 games in 3 days and starting the tournament.
They're playing 6 and not 8? I thought they were playing 8. They're playing 6 players?
They're playing 6 players right now.
Well,
they played. Gino played 6 players in the championship game of the Big East tournament against Notre Dame.
That can't bode well.
And I'll tell you what.
Who they are.
I'll tell you what. The freshmen are just unbelievable. Stephanie Dolson, from the start of this season to this point in the season, is the most improved player in the country, and she is a national force. And I would love to see her up against Brittany Griner now. It was a little bit of coming of age
from Baylor.
Right. It was a little coming of age party back in November against Baylor for the 2 freshmen, but they're ready now.
Real quick, Maya Moore. Where does she rank? We asked John Altavilla, the UConn beat writer, where does she rank among the all-time great UConn players? Bird, Taurasi.
You know what? I put her right alongside Diana Taurasi.
You got to pick one. Give me one.
Okay, if I'm going to pick one, I pick Maya Moore. Over the body of work. 4 Big East championships, longest winning streak in the history of college basketball.
How many rings though? Taurasi has more rings. See,
right now,
rings.
Maya's got 2 rings. She's got an option on the 3rd. She can catch up with Diana.
I go with the rings. Who has more rings? When it's a jump ball? Look at the jewelry.
So then the answer is it's an incomplete.
15 seconds. NFL. Tiki Barber, 36-year-old, wants to have a comeback to the NFL. He just filed for divorce. He was caught playing around with a college intern.
He just filed for divorce, which is why he's going for the NFL money. The TV job didn't work out. He's 35 years old. Nobody can come back from 5 years at that position. A quarterback, maybe. But a running back who's taken all the hits, no. No wonder the Giants have already told him, as soon as you officially announce, you're cut.
That affair should have better been worth it for him, right?
Yes.
You got to wrap. All right, thanks to all our guests, Kareem Muhammad and Scott Gray. You can send your show comments or requests or watch us at ctnow.com/Stan. Friend us on Facebook. Become a fan of the Stan Simpson Show. We're on Twitter, too. Look out for those tweets for the good folks here at Fox Connecticut. I'm Stan Simpson. See you next week.